Moving on to the back, we're starting off with our no guard all the way open, creating our second guideline. Now that we're done completely setting in that line, we can start closing the lever midway and all the way closed and attack that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. This guideline is right on top of the occipital bone, so you want to make sure you spend as much time and detail. Remember, we're going to use this same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the half guard. Now that the line is soft enough, we're moving on to our half guard and we're erasing the line completely. As you can see, the occipital bone is right there in the middle. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can move on to our two guard all the way open and create our fourth guideline. This is going to help us blend into the calic area and connect the back area to the side area. As you can see, now I'm using my 1.5 guard to erase the line completely and detail as much as possible. Here I'm detailing with my previous guards, the one guard all the way open and the 1.5 guard. Now that we're done detailing the occipital bone, we can move on to our clipper over comb method and begin to debulk the calic area. I'm making sure I angle the comb to leave as much weight as possible without making it look bulky. When the cutting blade is horizontal, I'm debulking, and when the cutting blade is going vertically, I'm blending. Now that we're done detailing the fade, we can move on to his front line and comb down his baby hairs and debulk them with the one guard all the way open. Now that we're done debulking all the hairs, we can move on to our NST outliners and start off in the middle, working our way to the sides. You also want to make sure that you go slow enough with the trimmer that the hair feeds into the trimmer, because if not, then the hair is going to move and you won't line them up properly. Don't forget, you want to keep the corners and vertical bars as natural as possible, so make sure you pay attention to that. Make sure not to press too hard with the teeth of the trimmers because you could irritate them. Now that we're done lining up and detailing, we can move on to our shear work on top and create our first guideline through the middle of the capitus. You also want to make sure you connect this first guideline to the sides and to the back. When doing shear work, you want to make sure the hair is very nice and damp so you can get the true length of the hair follicle. What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bring guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a high taper on my boy, so stay tuned. We started off by saturating the hair and picking everything up. Now that we're done saturating the hair, we can move on to our shears and start our guideline throughout the middle and work our way to the sides. When you're doing your shear work, you want to make sure you grab the hair with the comb, feed it into your fingers, holding it tight, and then cut it with your shears. You want to keep that same guideline throughout the whole head shape, because if not, then the hair won't be even. The reason why I'm starting off with my shear work is because it's easier to blend into the hair, and then also I like to debulk first. We're also making sure we have a nice and neat canvas. Now we're connecting the top guideline that we made to the sides and back. Now that we're done lining them up and creating our shape, we can move on to our NST outliners and create our first guideline. You want to make sure you don't go too high with this guideline, because then it won't give you enough space to blend the high taper. Now that we're done creating our first guideline, we're going to go ahead and move on to our clip over comb method and debulk and create our shape. We're doing this so it makes it easier to us to blend into the silhouette. Now that we're done debulking, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. You want to make sure you make this guideline around 1 inch thick so you can spread the blend. We're then going to slightly close our lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. We're then going to use this same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the half guard. Now that we're done erasing the line with our half guard, we can move on to our 2 guard all the way open and create our 4th guideline. You also want to make sure to flick out and shape up the hair once you get to the top, because if not, it's going to make it harder for you to blend in with your clipper over comb. Now that the guideline is soft enough, we can move on to the 1.5 guard and erase the line completely. Sometimes after using the 1.5 guard, there's still a faint line, so switching over to your 1 guard all the way open and using its corners would definitely help you. Now we're moving on to our clipper over comb method, and this is going to tie the bulk into the taper. This is also going to give us that flare shape. There were still some dark spots that I saw, so I went back to my previous guards and attacked it. Now that we're done with the taper, we can move on to his sideburns and start off with our no guard all the way open. Now that we're done with our no guard all the way open, we move down to our 1.5 guard and our 2 guard, and we debulk the beard. Now we're using our T outliners to make the beard as crispy as possible, right in front of the ear. You also want to make sure you don't press too hard in this area because the skin is very thin here. Moving on to the beard, I feel like laying your client down a little bit is very important. This creates more stability and also it saves time. Now that we're done lining up the beard, we're going to move on to the hairline. And we're going to start off by combing everything in place and then also debulking it with the 1 guard all the way open. We're actually going to use the 1.5 guard all the way open, which is equivalent to a 2 guard closed, just so we can keep it a little bit darker. Now that we're done debulking the hair, we can move on to our T outliners and start off in the middle and work our way to the sides. It's very important to go slow and make sure the hair feeds into the trimmer, because if not, then you won't line them up properly. You also want to keep their vertical bars as natural as possible. I see a lot of people pushing the corners in and it doesn't look right. You want to make sure to take your time and detail the lining as much as possible. There is no rush here.